My name is MaryBeth Murphy, and I live in Salem, New Hampshire. I am 55 years old. I was a gray area drinker, so I identified as somebody that sort of drank wine, like the mommy wine culture. I have 4 kids, 2 of them with special needs, and I used wine to cope with a lot of that, as well as being in a not so healthy marriage. So I kind of say that I got sober by accident because I tripped and fell and broke my ankle, and I was in a cast for 8 weeks. I finally had to face those whispers that were whispering in my ear for, I want to say, a good 10 years. Look at your drinking, you're drinking too much. The people that I was around were big drinkers, so I didn't really stand out. And it didn't affect my job in any way. It didn't affect any DUIs. I didn't have any proverbial rock bottoms. So that's sort of why I'm coming out. What it looked like for me was the shame. The shame brought it to my attention because in my head, I was thinking, how am I going to get my wine at night with crutches? And how am I going to we need to look at this. So what I did was I Googled, like everyone does, right? Am I an alcoholic and things like that? And I ended up falling upon a book called The 30-Day Sobriety Solution, which was by Dave Andrews and Jack Canfield. And every day I read a chapter and did the exercise that belonged to the chapter. And I actually haven't revisited the book since I did this almost 5 years ago, but that was the light switch I needed to get myself some momentum. I became a member of She Recovers, which is an online support group which supports a patchwork recovery and criticizes none. So whatever gets you to the recovery space is a good thing. For about 1 year and 3 months, actually, no, I'm going to take that back. For about 2 years and 3 months, I did this all on my own. And then when I found She Recovers in March of 19, that's when my world expanded and I found my tribe. This is a mother-daughter organization that started out as just holding retreats for women in recovery, to have these spaces for women to go to on their recovery journey where they could go and travel and not be surrounded by alcohol like so many other vacations are. And it ended up just mushrooming into this support space. When I walked into that space, there were 40 women in circle, and it was like coming home. And from there, you make the connections, you join the Facebook group, you make lifelong friends. I'm still really close to one of the friends I made there. I'm a nurse. So they have a special subgroup for healthcare professionals that are in recovery, which is obviously a very tricky group of people that have to worry about their licensure and their careers. I was a nurse for 33 years in the hospital setting, and I was going to say my drinking did not jump out as anything unusual. Like, nurses would go out after work, have a couple drinks, go home. And I never looked like I drank more than the girl next to me. So I never jumped out as a big drinker. It never kept me from work. I never had any issues with anything with disciplinary action at work. I was a good nurse. I was really present at the bedside. But what happened for me is in 2016, I was Reiki attuned. So I don't know if you know anything about Reiki energy, but it's more of a holistic approach to health and wellness using universal life force energy. And I shifted from a bedside nurse to a holistic nurse, which brings me into that space of using alternative methods for healing. So that, of course, blended lovely with recovery, because in recovery, we're looking for alternative methods for coping that don't include substances. So it married in very nicely with what my path was doing career-wise. So right now I am a nurse entrepreneur and I have my own business. And what I'm trying to do is coach and help people that want to find other ways to calm their nervous systems so that they can manage their lives in a more holistic and wellness sort of way.
I wonder, similarly to the professional question, when you think about what home life was like, specifically around the children, while you were still drinking, and what has evolved and changed, and how has your sobriety affected them, affected your relationships with them? Again, thinking of that woman who may be looking at her own kids at home and going, I don't know if I can do this. What would you want her to know about your experience?
So when I stopped drinking, my kids ranged from, 14 to 19. Does that sound right? Yeah. Which was a very impressionable age for them to see their mother get sober. If you had asked them if they thought I had a drinking problem, I bet they would probably say they didn't notice much. I would often worry, like if they needed me in some way, like if they were at a party and they were drunk, or if they had a friend that couldn't get them home safely, I would always worry I wouldn't be sober enough to get them home. But of course, when you stop drinking, all of a sudden you can be that parent that could take care of your kids if they needed you, no matter what hour of the day it is. So that was a silver lining, that I felt very blessed that I could be there for them in that situation. And I recovered very out loud with them. I didn't keep it quiet. I used it as a teaching tool. I was very vulnerable with them. And I wanted to show them that sobriety wasn't a boring thing. So their dad is a big drinker, and to this day still is. And he normalizes it to the point where it really bothers me to think that that's the case, but it is what it is. But again, I felt like I could stand in my power and show them what the other side looks like.
What does recovery in a typical day in your life look like? So thinking about, again, that woman who's watching this, who may want to know more about what a daily practice or a daily mindset.
My morning practice is a meditation practice, and that could look like anything. And then I do a little bit of yoga, so a little bit of movement there. Or if I feel like there's some stuck energy, I'll do some dancing. So all by myself, dancing, no one sees me. I stopped caffeine, so I don't have any spikes and valleys with caffeine anymore. So I make my herbal tea. I listen to spiritual podcasts or books that are spiritual in nature. I can just say that my spirituality has grown and evolved since this. I'm trying to just treat others the way I would like to be treated and walk the walk. So I have a lot more pause before I respond. I am getting more into nature. So I walk outside a lot. I like to get to the ocean. The ocean is where my heart is the most full. And what else do? I get to bed early. I don't have that fear of missing out anymore. But pretty much my practices are, instead of looking outward, I go inward. And I feel more at home and at peace with myself more now than ever.
Is there anything sort of sitting on the back of your tongue that you're like, I just want to say it out loud?
I want to say, mothers, teachers, caregivers, we always look outside of ourselves and take care of everybody first. That's just our knee-jerk response, and that's the way we were raised. And that I've realized through my recovery is that we've got it all backwards, that we have to take care of ourselves first, and then we can overflow and give to others. My new goal now is to go out into the healthcare, into different hospitals, healthcare settings, and help nurses, just rethink the way that they're living their life, and turn more inward and taking care of themselves, finding out what they need first. And then they can be better caregivers after that.